Hi. Test? Okay. Hi everyone, my name's Nicole. Currently working at League, and I've done some mentoring and instructing stuff at HackerU and Canada Learning Code, and I've spoken at a few conferences on React-y and JavaScript-y topics. And I'm here to talk about TypeScript. So how many people have used TypeScript before? So, okay, so I think I kind of tried to simplify my talk, but maybe I won't. But so I've been using TypeScript on a variety of projects for the last couple of years, and I've been switching between TypeScript and JavaScript. And so I just want to kind of talk about things that are good about TypeScript and things that I've been struggling with TypeScript, and then also some cool things coming down the pipeline. So first I'm going to do a mini demo for people who haven't used TypeScript before. Okay, so just want to talk about a couple of things I like about TypeScript. The first thing I like is that it always warns you if your paths are incorrect. So the minute you write an incorrect path, it'll let you know right away, which is super convenient. Another thing that's really cool is as long as you type things, TypeScript will let you know if there's something going wrong. So if you have a message, TypeScript will warn you that you're not using it yet. And then also, if you try to use it without giving it a value, TypeScript will tell you that you haven't assigned anything to it, which is really handy. So for people coming from JavaScript, this is actually like a huge boon. You don't have to compile your code in Webpack and then go look at the browser and then open your console and look for red error messages and try to look backwards. TypeScript will tell you before your code is even compiled. And then the next thing I want to talk about really quickly is the refactoring. So if we scroll down here, I have a button, and I've kind of done it in a weird way, which is primary equals false. And for people who are used to React, you know that when you have an attribute and it's false, you just omit it. So, but if I do that here, TypeScript will start complaining that I'm missing the property primary. So if we go over here, where I've created the props for that, it's because I've made it a required prop and not optional. So if I make it optional, the error goes away. So let me just show this again. Hold on a second. So thing is here, so you can see the blue is the error message, and then it's showing up as an error, and then the minute I fix it, TypeScript will tell you the error is gone. So this is kind of a simple example, but imagine that button was used 50 or 60 times in your project and you needed to change something and you need to figure out all the files you need to change. The great thing about TypeScript is that it'll just keep yelling at you until you've changed everything. So it makes refactoring, it makes you feel very confident when you want to refactor your code. So those are some of the things I really love about TypeScript. Now I want to talk about some of the things that really suck about TypeScript. So those are the good things. Yeah, so there's one thing I call the Typescript Sandwich, and I don't think that's the real term, but basically it's you have this project where you're writing files in TypeScript, but then you have to deal with using all these libraries, and most of those libraries are in JavaScript. So how do you work with them? How do you get the kind of typed goodness that you get in your TypeScript project? And the answer is a whole bunch of different Band-Aid solutions. So if you're lucky, that library was actually written in TypeScript, in which case it's already typed. If the library was nice about it, they made an index DTS or some kind of TypeScript definition file to go along with their library, so the API for that library is exposed in TypeScript. And for the rest of those libraries, there's open source maintainers using these add types things. So if you install React and you want it to work in a TypeScript project, you have to install the related add types, type definitions. So on an average JavaScript project, you have maybe 20 or 30 libraries. Imagine doing that 20 or 30 times. And then this happens so when you want to upgrade React, you have to upgrade the type definitions for that library. So there's that huge hassle. There's also a big learning curve in learning how to type things in a TypeScript with React kind of way. I've been on a lot of projects where people use classes and private and protected methods. I find that's not super helpful. It's not really giving me the typing I need. And a lot of people would try to apply sort of these old school Java design patterns to a React project, which is kind of unnecessary. The other thing is TypeScript comes with its own set of configuration files. So it's like if you really enjoy configuring your Webpack, you might like configuring TypeScript. It's about equally about as much fun. So why learn TypeScript if like there's kind of all these downsides to it? And the thing is, in the last 6 months, TypeScript's actually gotten a lot better. First of all, for people who like Create React App supports TypeScript out of the box. So if you want to play around with TypeScript, you can kind of just use Create React App CLI and then spin up a TypeScript project. There's also a TypeScript. I think there's an easy way to take an existing Create React app and make it a TypeScript app now. So that's pretty handy. The other thing that's come out is Babel 7. So I've been on projects where we've used Babel 6 with TypeScript, and like in the TypeScript documents, they're always like, oh, it's easy, you just take your TypeScript project and compile it to JavaScript. But if you're doing a React project, you're almost always using Babel and a whole bunch of Babel plugins, which means you're stuck compiling with the TypeScript compiler, and then once that JavaScript comes out, you have to run it through Babel, which is a 2-step process. So we had really, really long build times. But now with Babel 7, you don't have to use a TypeScript compiler, and like we cut times down significantly on our project. So our build went from like something like 55 seconds to like 20 seconds on the first build. For people who don't like TypeScript lint, because it's like learning a whole new linting system, ESLint is going to come up with their own TypeScript. But that presents kind of problems if you have a project that's in JavaScript and TypeScript, so just be aware of that. And there's also Coding Sandbox. So has anyone ever tried Coding Sandbox? Yeah, so they have like a React and TypeScript template now. So if you just want to kind of like prototype things really quickly, you can do it in that environment if you don't even want to like fire up Create React app. So I'm going to do another super short demo. Yeah, just checking my time here. Okay. So I'm just switching back to my non-TypeScript branch here. And so how many people like have done, or like, it looks like everyone's done like quite a bit of TypeScript here, right? So I'm just going to kind of run through converting one file for people. So this is a regular React file. It has what's called JSX for people who haven't done React before. So JSX is just something that looks like HTML, but it's in JavaScript. So I'm going to convert this by changing the file extension, and then there's going to be some errors. And then we're just going to talk about like high level how to fix the errors. So just going to rename it. So yeah, some of the errors come up, and we're just going to fix them one by one. The console log is pretty obvious, like most linters don't like console logs, so I'm just going to take that out. The next one is I've made double quotes instead of single quotes for my linter, so I'm just going to change it to double quotes. And the last one is because my component doesn't have prop types, so it doesn't know that the state is supposed to have this has error property. As you can tell here, I have a component, but I haven't used prop types at all. So I'm just going to use a type alias, because that's like kind of the new thing. A lot of people do state and props with like interfaces, but type interfaces are becoming a little more popular. Apparently, interfaces you can monkey patch. I'm not sure how that works, but. So you do a type alias with an equal sign, and I'm just going to have has error, and it's going to be a Boolean. And if you roll over your component, you can see that there's a P and an S, that's your props and state. So our props is empty, so I think that's going to be null. And then I'm going to do error boundary state. And then you can see the has error goes away. But, and here's part of the headaches with TypeScript, now it's complaining because it wants me to use an interface over a type literal. And then I won't go into this too much, but this is where it gets kind of hairy, because you have two files. One of them is your tsconfig that tells you how it wants TypeScript to be built. And there's words in it like allow synthetic default imports, which you think you don't have to care about, but you actually have to care about, and it's kind of frustrating. But over in tslint, we just have to tell it that, no, I want to use type aliases, not interfaces. So once I do that, the error will maybe go away, maybe not. And that's about it. Any questions?
Do you know of any major differences like between Flow and TypeScript besides like community and support?
Yeah, I think I tried Flow like only for 2 weeks, and then like a couple people I work with tried it on projects. Like I think Josh over there tried it a few times, but I haven't actually successfully used it on a project. So I think I worked on it with a few projects, and then we couldn't figure out how to get the libraries to work with Flow, and then we just like rolled back right away. So.
Good.
Yeah.
So for different projects, do you normally keep the consistent linting file?
Yeah, like it's kind of like, one thing I've been liking lately is that Sonart's linter. Like I find it's like kind of strict, but it's like pretty handy to have. It's
Sonart's linter? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's this one.
Oh.
Yeah, like you kind of have to have the React one if you want to have React stuff, but this Sonart's, it's like you wouldn't want to put it on an existing project if you didn't have it running already, but it's like, it has a lot of rules to detect code smells, like, and if you read their website, it's like pretty interesting, like the stuff they stop people from doing. So.
Oh, that's cool. I wasn't even aware you could like extend other like linting configurations.
Yeah. Yeah, we had linter set up like, it was like avoid cognitive complexity, where it would like just stop people from writing functions with like too many if statements. It was actually pretty handy, so yeah. But I recommend like if you have a project in JavaScript and you want to start adding TypeScript, like maybe learn a bit about the linter and try to get your linters sort of aligned.
Yeah.
Like even with this small thing I built, it's like I probably should have got my single quotes aligned and my double quotes and stuff, because it's like, yeah.
There's a thing I would love to see if TypeScript could do. Would you mind going back to the other file? I wonder if it would be possible for us to not have to write that type out for the state. I wonder if we can get TypeScript to infer the state by.
Yeah, I wonder if it does that. You mean like guessing? Let's see.
Just cast it as any.
What if you
Yeah.
put the state inside?
Yeah. It does the guessing, like the autocomplete.
I was thinking of like, so right now we have to create that type for error boundary state. What if we deleted that, and if it was possible for TypeScript to still not yell at us when we try to use it?
No.
It'll still yell a little, and
So
then
the
you
thing
could
I'm
just.
thinking of is if you write to the next line, create a class property called state and assign has error equals false outside of the constructor, but in that class property.
Oh, you mean like this? What's it? State?
Exactly.
Like that?
Yeah. Like if you do that, I wonder if it can infer that that's what that state.
And give it
would
an
be.
initial state.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And maybe.
let's see.
And is it smart enough to figure it out?
Yeah, it looks like it did.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It keeps getting better with every version, but
Yeah.
the one thing that I find is a pain is like every time, like we try not to update like more than once a year, but it's like when you update, it's like everything goes haywire. Like all of a sudden you're forced to update all your React libraries and then update all the types, and then the TypeScript like has suddenly become more strict. So like yeah, dependency upgrades in TypeScript are like pretty painful.
Okay, yeah.